Hello and welcome back to the First and 10 podcast. We're here, the evening after England's triumphant win against Mexico. We'll get into that very shortly. But let's go straight in with the big question. Nath, that is England's best performance since, and then you fill in the blank.
Oh my word! I don't know about performance-wise, but off the top of my head, I think the same sort of feeling was when we beat Colombia on penalties, and it was like breaking that whole penalty voodoo, and that feeling of, oh my god, if we can win on penalties, then anything's possible, kind of thing. That sort of feelings-wise, I think probably since then. But in terms of performance, you've got to. There's not been. It's weird, isn't it? We were chatting the other day about this, and there's just not been, even though we've got to finals and semi-finals, there's not been a performance that you've looked at and gone, bloody hell, that was good. That I can remember. So yeah, to be fair,
the Southgate era wasn't full of performances, was it? Really, it was.
It was good and it was consistent, but there wasn't like a game where you went, wow, just blowing them away there, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'll go with Colombia. I'll go with that Colombia game on penalties, just for the same sort of feeling of something's happening.
Fives, what about you? That's England's best performance since.
Yeah, I've had a bit of think about this and couldn't come up with anything, and then it just came to me now, this second. So, depending on how old people listening are, it was the Dutch at Wembley, Euro '96.
Yeah,
because that was an awesome performance, and I had no confidence in that game whatsoever that would happen, and we blew them away. I think it was 2 for Sheringham, that kind of thing. But that was a sensational performance, and honestly, the fact that we've had to think so hard about it, that was brilliant from England last night. Make no mistake, that was brilliant from England last night.
Yeah, it definitely was. And so we'll get more into that in a bit. So for me, I think the one that stood out to me was England 5-1 against Germany. Was that 2001? Bless you.
Thank you.
2001, that game. So like 25 years. As I said, there's been a lot of years where we've beaten some teams. Under Southgate, we went through this tournament as well, but there wasn't many performances in there, was there? There's a lot of beating teams we should beat, and maybe scraping by, which as Arsenal fans we're used to now. But yeah, for me it was probably the 5-1 game, which
that was amazing as well. Yeah,
it was, when it was just like, that was one of the moments when where you just sat there going, I cannot believe what I'm seeing here. Like, this is outrageous.
I was watching it with a few lads going. We went 2-1 up, and I went 3-2 Germany. We went 3-1 up, and I went 4-3 Germany. And they were like 4-1 up, and I was like, we might actually win this, lads. 5-1 up, I was confident, but yeah, it was that much of a breaking of a mold, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I think last night was that,
Really did feel like it, didn't it? Felt like something different, as you both said. I mean,
absolutely.
Do you think that was a team that can become world champions? Do you think they've shown that?
Yeah. Make no mistake. I do think we suffer in this country from just talking ourselves out of stuff. Generally like, but what about that? What about this? And then once in a while, like when we got to the semis of the Euros and stuff, it's around about the semis when everyone kind of just goes, "Oh, we might win this." 2 games, anyone's game, that kind of thing. And I do think that's probably what's happening this time. But I'm going to go a bit early, lads, and I'm going to say this doesn't just look like a team that could win it. I think this team can win it. It's not a for me. It's not a matter of who turns up on the day and all the other cliches. If you're looking at it objectively, I think other countries view us as the same as well. We can win this, and there's probably about the French and the Spanish really are the only ones that I think give us a bit of trouble. I think everybody else, I don't think they're good enough.
Mate, yeah. I mean, I was confident before the tournament. I honestly thought we'd do all right.
You were.
You know, like,
You were, to be fair, yeah.
You were, yeah.
We've got some superstars in our team, and I think last night showed probably just who them superstars are. A couple of the Arsenal-based superstars that we do have maybe struggling a bit, but running on fumes or a few injections here and there. But having Bellingham and Kane, two players who can just win a game for you out of nowhere, can't they? And it was incredible.
That's more than what Argentina have got. They've just got
without a doubt. They're one player and not a great deal else, aren't they? I think Argentina. Yeah, that's going to come back to bite me. But I'm not saying they're terrible, but I don't think they've got the stars outside of Messi personally.
Yeah, not at all.
I feel like you got a difference of opinion there.
Don't sleep on them. Don't sleep on them. They've had the superstars before, haven't they? Argentina have had a lineup that any nation would absolutely dream of, and did nothing. And then the last World Cup, they had a team, not a team of superstars. They had a team, and they had a manager who turned them into a team. And they weren't fantastic, but they won the tournament. I think we're living in an era where you don't need to be. We just said it about England. We literally just had that conversation about England. We've been to finals and semi-finals where we've not been brilliant, but we've got there. Do you know what I mean? And I just think someone like Argentina, who've been there, who've done it, and have a genuine. Well, they've got the best player in the tournament for me. And at the moment, it's not really close. And I know. And I don't say that lightly because there's been some absolutely unbelievable performances. Like you guys said, Kane, Bellingham have turned up, Haaland has turned up, Mbappe, Olise. It's been a fantastic World Cup where the superstars have genuinely come to the table and gone, right, I'm going to make it my tournament, and they're all having a go. But again, Messi, 39, is still a head above that. So I think you've got a solid team plus a superstar. It worked last time. That's all I'm saying. It worked last time.
Well,
you buying that, Dave?
I don't know. I don't think Argentina are all that. There's every chance it'll come up in it next week, won't it? It's. I think we'll find out.
There is a trophy to back up what Nathan's saying. To be fair.
Yeah, there is.
Nobody fancied him in Qatar either.
I don't know, man. That was 4 years ago, All right.
But I still don't think they were the best team in that tournament. Even looking back now, I don't think they were the best team in that tournament. And they could still win it because of that here. But I don't think they were. I don't think they were the best team.
The other thing as well is look at the run that they've got as well.
That's important.
You've always got to have that bit of luck in a tournament, no matter what the tournament is. You've always got to have that little bit of luck.
But I do wonder sometimes with that, run. It feels like everyone's got a bit of a run. It doesn't feel like. Are there just not many elite teams left anymore? Is there lots of good teams, and no team to me feels like it hasn't got their quite big flaws. France, they've obviously got unbelievable talent, but they look beatable still to me. Same with England. England at the back, obviously, had okay last night, I thought, but conceded 2, one slightly iffy penalty, but still look shaky, don't they? England at the back, So I think it feels the same for all the teams. But
did you just say an iffy penalty?
Well, other people said it's iffy. I don't think it's iffy. We'll get to that in a bit. I thought it was fine. I thought it was fine, but he's booted him and not got in the ball. But people, Alan Shearer commentary was adamant it wasn't a penalty, which I didn't really understand. But
literally, might as well have just pants him wearing an England shirt with an England tattoo on his forehead, mightn't they?
Yeah, they might as well have. We mentioned the manager with Argentina, Nath. Do you think last night was Tuchel's coming out game for England? It really sort of showed who he is.
I'm super glad you asked me that because I was thinking this. I think for me, what it showed was his flexibility, and I don't think we had that with Southgate. I felt like with Southgate, we had one way of playing and a really good sort of community, whatever you want to call it, team spirit. But it was very sort of you knew what was going to happen, kind of, and there was never seemed to be a plan B or like a way to just, well, can we change this to maybe do that kind of thing, especially towards the end of Southgate's tenure as well. Whereas last night, I think we saw Tuchel, especially with the red card as well. Obviously, that played into it, but we saw what he's all about as a manager, which is being able to change things on the fly to affect the game, and it's so important these days. I think it's something. I think we spoke about it in the last episode with Arteta, where he's maybe a little bit inflexible, where he makes substitutions which are like for like, rather than, that are going to change the game. And I think you saw last night with Tuchel, the substitutions that he made perfect sense, changed the shape, went to 5 at the back and went 5-3-1, I think it was, or 5-3-1, weren't it?
5-4-0, wasn't it?
Yeah, eventually. But again, that's what I mean. He went from 5-4-1 to 5-4-0 and was like, right, we're going to dig in and we're going to go for it, kind of thing. Go for it in terms of like, defend for the win, not go for it as in, chase the goal or whatever. But yeah, I think last night showed that Tuchel can do that, and has that's sort of his genius. He's being able to do that in the middle of a game. Like I say, I know that the red card forced his hand a little bit, but I do think that he's able to do that in games where he's still got 11 men on the pitch and he can go, right, well, that's not working, so I'm going to tweak it a little bit. And I think the players that came off the bench as well did a really good job as well. So yeah, I think it was a good night for Tuchel.
I think you'd have been worried in them same circumstances if this was like 4 years ago and it was Southgate making those changes, wouldn't you? I think
100%.
100%. That's not. I don't know about you. I felt fairly confident still, even with 10 men. I really felt like we were still going to win it. I'm not sure I'd have had the same confidence.
I think getting the goal to go 3-1. I think getting the penalty.
Yeah,
that was the one that I was like, right, okay. Well, as long as we've got that 2-goal cushion, I think we'll be fine. And even when they got the penalty back, I thought, well, it's a penalty. It's not a goal that they've gone and scored. So I'm still pretty confident that we'll see it through. But that's why that 2-goal cushion was really important.
I mean, Fires, do you think the scoreline flattered Mexico a bit, or do you think it was fair enough 3-2? But to me, England felt a much better team.
I think they were lucky, Dave. To be honest, I think the whole build-up was about some kind of mythical team that we were playing in this mythical stadium, and I get it. I mean, the record is the record, right? But
I feel like if we played Honduras and Costa Rica, once every 4 years at Wembley, we'd have a similar sort of fortress.
That's why, that's why I was kind of like, even with the what's the journalists, jogging at altitude to show us how difficult it was. Yeah. I mean, fuck right off for that. Innit? Yes.
There are so many of them. I thought they'd arrange a park run or something around there.
Do you know what I mean? Slow news day, right? Just bollocks. And I think they were just all trying to tap into this thing about this mystical game that was going to happen. Make no mistake, Mexico are B category South American team, and from a continent which has been usurped by Africa. I'm not worried about teams from South America anymore, as I perhaps would have been before, in previous tournaments. I think the African teams are better than the South American teams right now. So, whatever. I mean, the occasion was tougher than the team. Does that make sense?
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way of putting it, to be fair. I think that's a really good way. Yeah, I think,
and it was kind of like our own problems, wasn't it? It was sort of like, oh, what are we going to do here? And to go back to your point about Tuchel, absolutely, he managed that part of it really well, which is it's a game of football, and if we play a game of football without any of the, talks of altitude and stuff, we're better than them. We'll beat them. So yeah, absolutely. And just going back to the point Nathan made, the second goal and stuff, and whether I thought, whether the game was in the bag. As soon as they started cheating, which for some reason the South American teams are like, all right, that's it, lads. 65 minutes. Let's just start being absolute wankers. What is this? Like, what are you doing? Like, you used to be good at football. Now you're just, Anyway, so yeah, as soon as they started doing that, I thought, yep, head's gone. That's us. So yeah, well played, Tuchel. But like I said, it was Mexico. It wasn't Colombia or Argentina or Brazil for that matter. So yeah. Well played, England. Honestly, good.
Yeah,
Good
we were
game.
chatting about it earlier, weren't we? And I said I think they're probably the 15th, second worst team in this round. Probably only Canada that I'd have below them, but obviously the venue made that.
But that's
a bit
who they
tougher
play,
than
mate.
But
That's who they played most of the year. They played Canada, like you said, El Salvador, Honduras. They play the worst team in Brazil's history. One of the worst teams in. It kind of sorts itself out, but it's a lovely stadium, and we got to bury a couple of ghosts from 40 odd years ago, but it was a job well done. What I did enjoy more than anything, and going back to the tactical side, is that England played like they were favourites. They just played like it.
Yeah.
And once in a while, I would just really love England, Arsenal, anyone that I have time for, just to go and put your foot down once in a while and say, "We're going to batter you." Yeah, this is all. None of this stuff which has been spoken about this game is actually about your team. Your best player is a 17-year-old, mate, and it's not going to happen today. I'm afraid, lads. Your tournament ends here, and that's what I wanted to see. And I was really, really chuffed that some of the particular, I'm sure we'll get onto it, but the superstars turned up.
Yeah.
The superstars turned up and just showed levels, didn't they?
I do wonder if some of that mentality does come a lot from someone like Jude Bellingham, who I think some will see it as arrogance. And I think when he plays on the pitch, I think he has got a bit of arrogance because he just knows he's better than most of these people. There's not. I think he thinks he's the best player in the world, or definitely right up there. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think if you look back at the best sportsmen across any sport through all eras, they've all got a bit of an arrogance about them, haven't they? And I think you're right. Yeah, just seeing England, and I'd love to see Arsenal do it sometimes. Just we're better than you. This is our game. Instead of always adjusting for the other team, I think sometimes let them adjust to you a bit more. Where I think, especially at the Southgate, I think we saw that a bit too often, where you always give teams a bit too much respect, don't you? Which
absolutely,
nice
absolutely. That arrogance is exactly what I mean, mate. It's we celebrate it when it's foreigners.
Yeah.
Oh, Mourinho, look at him, mate. He speaks to everyone like they're dickheads. Oh, he's so brilliant. He's won everything. Jude Bellingham's won everything. Plays for Real Madrid. Why shouldn't he be like that? And I think it was George Best said once that they asked him if he thought he was the best player that ever lived, and he goes, "Well, my dad thinks so." That's all I care about. And so if Jude Bellingham wants to show everyone that, if he wants to tell everyone he's the best player in the world, then back it up on the pitch, and then kind of carry his team, I'm all for it, mate. I wish other players were like that.
100%. Yeah, I think England. I think it's a difference probably between England now and past it. We have got a few more of those players now than we've ever had. I would say. I think Rice thinks he's up there. I think, I think Kane knows he's up there. However you want to put it, don't they? They all think they're right there. I mean, Nath, you said Messi is obviously a player of the tournament so far. Is Bellingham number 2?
No.
Who you got?
Elise.
He's been magnificent. He's been magnificent. Yep.
Look, we're talking about how good Jude Bellingham is as a player, and don't get me wrong, you had a good night last night. He was fantastic, and everything that you said is correct. But we're playing Mexico, and we've just absolutely slated Mexico for being the 15th best team out of 16. Do you know what I mean? The celebrations at the end of the game, I'm all for the singing with the fans because they've spent a lot of money to be there. Going, they were there in that hostile atmosphere, and I don't mean hostile as in aggressive hostile. I mean hostile as in obviously it was an away game basically, wasn't it, from a fan's perspective. All go over and say thank you and have a sing song with them. But the whole fucking running from the halfway line, holding hands and cheering. I mean, I know this is massively ironic coming from an Arsenal fan because we get absolutely brutally, everyone hates us, don't they, for being over celebrating and stuff. But I just thought, look, I get it emotionally and physically. That was a very draining game, big performance, but be professional. You've got through to the quarterfinal. You've not won anything. You've not done anything special. You've knocked out the 15th best team out of 16 teams.
So what you're saying, Nath, is that Henderson falling over the boarding and breaking his arm was completely uncalled for because it was Mexico, right? Is that what you're saying? That was a completely waste of a good limb.
I think against any team, like, just don't do that.
What a dickhead.
Is he old enough now, Henderson, that he's had a fall there, do we think? Is it,
I think, well, it's obviously it's not great for him and all that kind of stuff, but it's just funny. It's just.
Well, if they followed Nathan's thinking, like they would have just been in the dressing room. So he has got a point.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't have happened. But look, I don't want to be too negative because I do understand.
Yeah.
Just the way that the game went and the physicality. I understand all of that. Yeah. But I just think there's levels, guys. Do you know what I mean? It smacked of Klopp and Liverpool clapping when they drew 2-2 with West Brom. Do you know what I mean? It was like, that's a bit weird. Why are we doing that? But again, it was a game where did come from behind, and it had been a bit of a fight, and emotional and physical and all that kind of stuff, and the occasion was huge. Yeah. But yeah, let's just we beat Mexico, brilliant performance. There's a quarter final in a few days that we've got to get through.
Before we move on to that quarter final, then let's the red card. Fair enough, or do you think a bit harsh, or do you think it's a bit unlucky, or what do you think, Fires? I don't know. It felt soft to me, but it's bounced off the ball, hasn't he? It doesn't. It feels like to me, feels like one of them that looks a lot worse in slow mo than it did, in real speed.
Exactly that. Exactly that. If you're the team that's received that challenge, you want a red card. If you're the team that's you kind of saying, "Well, look at it," and you're both right. I've spent all day on Twitter calling Trump all sorts of names and Infantino over a red card. So I may be suspended soon. But however, I think it was similar to the Balogun one. I felt like they've done the action. The action's sort of involuntary, right? And as you said, slow motion makes it look worse, but the foot's extended and it does connect with the guy. It does look malicious in slow motion. I just think, I don't know, man. I think a yellow and a talking to is what's in order, especially after what I saw in the fucking Paraguay game anyway.
Yeah.
Where there was just GBH after GBH on all the French players, and they just got away with it the whole time. So, I do think either that or the cartels were in in the ear of the referees, just going, "You better give us something." So one of the two things happened: narco pressure, or just wanting to give the home team something. I think there was a bit of that, bit of like 100,000 people in the stadium or whatever it was, but. The referees generally have been a bit shit this World Cup. They have been a bit shit. I've not really rated any of them.
It's just so inconsistent, I think, isn't it? Which is, I don't know. But we could probably speak for hours about inconsistency of referees, couldn't we? Because we see it from week to week in the Premier League, and then I guess it's always going to be the case when you've got referees coming from all over the world, haven't you? From different, leagues, different rule sets there, and then applying the stuff here. But I don't know. It was.
But I think it probably was a red. Just the way it's going at the World Cup, it's a red. And if we win, then it doesn't matter. And hopefully, someone can call Trump and get it overturned for us. That'd be nice. But
Keir does it on his way out of Downing Street.
No, I think he's down
tools. Overturned.
Yeah, he's down tools. I've given you the boozers till 5 a.m. What more do you want? So yeah, no.
I mean, do you think that maybe England stumbled onto what might be their best back four with Stones in there and Conser out on the right hand side, Nath? Or Farzy?
Yeah, funnily enough, I had this conversation with someone at work today. I just think Stones gives you that bit of an older head and a little bit of experience. I think he was the right man for the moment to come in and just go, right, let's we've got a job to do. Let's settle down and dig in and do the job kind of thing. Don't get me wrong, massive shout out to Dan Burn. Probably didn't expect to get on, if we're being honest. He probably did not expect to play any minutes at this World Cup unless someone got injured. Or, as happened, there was a red card and it was an opportunity for him to come in. took his opportunity brilliantly. You know, that's his game. That sort of defending is what Dan Burn is all about.
That was a Mertesacker performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it literally was. It literally was. He was brilliant, and so was John Stones as well. I thought Jet Spence made some really important tackles as well. You know, we've slated him, rightly so. But again, I thought he come on, did a really good job. We've given Pickford a lot of crap, and rightly so. But again, he pulled out one of those Pickford performances where the people who love Pickford, you know, put that performance up as their argument for why he is, you know, so highly rated by some people. But yeah, I think there is an argument for John Stones playing, and that's nothing against Conte. I get where Tuchel's coming from it, because he likes to play quite a high line, doesn't he? And he relies a lot on athleticism and pace. I think that's what his whole squad selection has been based on, is that athleticism. Obviously, John Stones is, you know, getting on a bit, probably past his prime. I think we'll agree on.
Yep.
But again, I think there's certain circumstances where it calls for someone like that with an older head, and he can still play. He's still got a football brain. Yeah. I think that's something that a lot of people sleep on, is that John Stones is actually quite an intelligent footballer. So yeah, I think there's definitely an argument for him to go in 100%. Especially with the right side being an absolute nightmare of a position. Look, you know, people are going to slate Tuchel for Reece James, for the lad who got sent off as well. You can't. No one expected that one position to be the absolute nightmare that it's been. You know, usually all that stuff that happens is spread around a couple of positions, isn't it? It's not all in one position, and for it to be in such a specialised position as well. I'll cut him a bit of slack. You know, it was a bit naive with the whole Reece James injury, you know, situation, but like, no one expected everyone to just get decimated. Whoever turned up in that spot has just been absolutely decimated, haven't they?
Yeah, it's definitely been cursed. Well, let's move on to that quarter final. I mean, Fies, do you think Norway? Is the threat just what we know? Is Haaland, bit of Ødegaard, and then does it feel like there's a lot else? Again, I don't want to like Argentina like we have earlier, but you know, there's not a lot else to go, is there really?
No, they've got nothing. Ødegaard and even then, Ødegaard, yes, but it's Haaland, isn't it? It's always going to be Haaland. And do you know what? He doesn't play for one of the big boys, but I just don't think it matters to Erling Haaland. I hate him. But he's so good because he played. I remember watching him for when he didn't have that silly Viking haircut. When he played for is it Salzburg, one of the Red Bull teams anyway. He just scored against everyone. Then he went from there to Dortmund. He just scored against everyone. And then he went to Man City and just scored against everyone. And now he's gone to the World Cup with his country, just scores against everyone. He is relentless. I just can't deny it. Look, we just touched briefly on the defenders. We could play all of them if Haaland's going to get one. It's just how many we put in at the other end because they are rubbish. So you know, can we keep Haaland down to one, his customary goal, and can we punish him at the other end? And I think we can. I genuinely think we can because at the end of the day, mate, you've got arguably the most clinical striker in the world up top, but then at the back you've got lads from mid-table clubs. So, you know, Harry Kane, Jude Bellingham, Saka, they should be giving them problems going the other way. And I'll just keep going back to that. You know, Norway are good. We should have them. We should have them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you mentioned Saka there. I think it does almost a bit of a special shout out here because he looks like he is struggling big time when he's on the pitch, but no, 3 assists already, joined a pretty elite group of players do it. 3 goals or assists at back-to-back World Cups, isn't he? But, you know, I think you see the quality of him when he is on there, even though he is, obviously he's just not got that burst right now. He is still, he's still delivering, isn't he? Which is
he's sensational, isn't it? Starboy is sensational, mate. He's the way he crossed it as well. He just dinked it. Like everyone thought that was going to Harry Kane, but he spotted Jude Bellingham at the, just running in behind him, and it was a free header. everyone went for Kane. Do you know what I mean? And that's the difference, you know. If our good friend Noni was on the pitch, that probably would have gone into the stand somewhere. So, you know.
He'd have forgotten he had to cross it, wouldn't he? It'd have been a goal kick. That's what would have happened.
Yeah. Something which was not optimal would have happened after great work. But, you know, even Declan Rice was running about yesterday, and I'm just, you know, I at one point during the match, I had to have a word with myself to stop panicking about Declan Rice because he was running absolutely everywhere. And I was just thinking to myself, do you know what? Like, all right, he's nursing through injuries and all that, yeah. And then we've got Saliba, who's got, and I am deviating a slight one. Just allow me this for a second. They're all playing every game. So what are these? Someone's telling porcupines there because they're either can't walk. They're playing every game, every minute of every game. And Saka, okay, fair enough. He's been nursing something back, but you know, and that the burst, as you said, takes time to come back. But they're playing every game, and they can't be that redlined, could they? Really?
I think Saka's is a rough one. I mean, I have had that exact injury that he's got right now, and I'm not trying to compare myself to, you know, Bukayo Saka. You know, I'm probably a little bit more a better athlete than him. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's stuff. But it took me like 18 months to get fully pain free. It's just one of them that is just a time thing. There's little things you can do, but it's just building it up, and it's so like debilitating when it's bad, and it just flares up, and you think it's getting better, and it gets worse. It's just a brutal injury to come back from. But I mean, I've seen a lot of people say it's finished, but it's just one of the things. I think in time he'll be fine. You know, it'll be fine. But yeah, it's a brutal injury to try and come back from the Achilles like tendinopathy or whatever it's called.
I'd like to see if Haaland can come back from that. That'd be good.
Yeah, we'll soon find out. Well, we're on Haaland. You know, obviously Norway knocked out Brazil. From an Arsenal point of view, the big battle that seems to have gone on for the last few years now is Haaland versus Gabriel, isn't it? But
I'm glad Gabriel's just coming home, mate.
Yeah, I mean Haaland won this one, didn't he? It was I think wasn't Gabriel's best tournament, was it? I don't think overall.
No, he's not performed well. If we're being honest, you know, we all love Gabriel. We wouldn't swap him for anybody. He's still one half of the best centre back pairing in the world right now. But yeah, it looked like he missed him a lot. Looked like he missed Saliba a hell of a lot. I don't think it helped that Brazil's midfield is pretty much like a ton of tea cake at the moment. It's just, you know, there's nothing in the centre of it, is there? You know, it's there's no protection whatsoever, you know. And I think if I'm putting my Arsenal head on, we should give Zubamendi a bit more credit. I've been a bit critical of Zubamendi. I don't think he's been all that. But when you look at Gabriel playing for Brazil without that protection and just how exposed that he was, I think it sort of, you know, it gives a bit of kudos to the Arsenal midfield. You know, Zubamendi, Lewis Skelly at the end of the season. You know, to provide that protection. Deck. Do you know what? I sometimes forget about Deck because I think Deck just speaks for himself. You don't have to say Deck because it's just known that he's that good. But you still got to, you know, he still deserves that shout out, doesn't he? So yeah, from an Arsenal point of view, I'm gonna throw Gabriel a lifeline and say he had absolutely no protection whatsoever, and it's very hard to defend like that. But in the individual duel against Haaland, Haaland's got his number all day. It's just one of them, you know. It's a bit like when Drogba used to play for Chelsea. I used to look at the lineups before the Arsenal-Chelsea game. I'd see Drogba starting, and I just didn't bother watching because I knew exactly what was going to happen. He was just going to bully us, straight up bully us all game long, and he did. He did it every game, and I just think Haaland's the same type of player. But going back to what Five said about the England-Norway game, I'm going to give Norway a little bit more credit. I think the left-hand side is fantastic, and given that our right-hand side of defence is awful, that's going to be an interesting point of play in the quarter-final. But I think if we can keep Haaland quiet, I think he'll score. I think our defence isn't good enough. I think Fives is right. Haaland scores. Even if our defence is better, he scores. But I think we should have enough at our attacking end to score more than them, basically.
I think as well, our team will know Haaland as well as any other team in this tournament. If any team can slow him down at least or stop him, whatever you define as stopping Haaland, I think England are sort of, despite maybe not being the best defenders, I think we have probably got more intel, should I say, on the.
Yeah. Well, you've got John Stones and Matt Gay who probably have to defend against him every week. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So hopefully they can share a bit of knowledge.
Yeah, you'd hope so. Right, well, let's move on to the controversial subject of the last couple of days. The Balogun suspension, suspended for a year, not overturned. Suspended for a year. I mean, he's going to be playing tonight as we record, but when this comes out, he'd have just played against Belgium. I mean, to start with, do we agree it was a soft red card before we move on to the other stuff?
Yeah.
Anyone got any objections? Yeah.
I just think
it's just one of the things that happens to me. I think there was no intent at all. He was the one getting challenged, wasn't he? It wasn't necessarily like he's got in for a tackle. He was going for the ball and just landed on his foot, didn't he? But I get why it was a red card, but it was a soft one, wasn't it?
I just think, going back to what you guys were saying before about the England sending off and the consistency and stuff like that. I think the referees have been consistent, but consistent of rules that are crap. I don't think it's an inconsistency in referees necessarily like we see in the Premier League. I think it's just an inconsistency of the rules that are being implemented by those above the referees. To be fair, all the referees have been making the same kind of decisions. As we've seen with these 2 red cards, you guys have both said that they were, maybe a yellow card and a final warning. One of those where it's like the referee goes over and he goes, this is a yellow card, but best believe that it's very much half red. Yeah. Next one you do, I don't care whether it's soft or not, you go in kind of thing. I personally think they were both straight up reds. It's dangerous what happened. Especially the England one. Yep. Foot was high, studs were up. It was a leg breaking tackle. Yeah, all right, he got to the ball first, but he went straight through. You just can't do that anymore. You just can't do that. Balogun was probably a little bit more unlucky. Like you said, Dave, it was a challenge on him originally. That's how the whole thing started.
Yeah.
But again, just a naughty little challenge at the end of it. But given how the referees have been refereeing it, they are both red cards. There's no, and you've got to, and that's how you've got to look at it as well. You've got to look at it as, if this was my team, would I be yelling for it 100%? I'd be kicking my TV in if we don't get a red card here. And then the other one you look at is, well, what have the referees been doing in the lead up to this? And to be fair, they've been giving them, it's the whole Champions League, Premier League refereeing, isn't it? It's like, right, okay, I know that they're going to give that as a penalty or a red card because we're playing in the Champions League, and they've been fairly consistent with those types of decisions. So, yeah, frustrating. But what's happened afterwards, the whole 1 year that's a really, really dark place to be going, because you're going to have appeals left, right, and centre. It's all well and good saying no, the red card still stands, but it's suspended. It's like, well, it doesn't then, does it? He's going to play, so therefore it completely negates what a red card is all about. Don't try and get around it with some sort of courtroom bullshit. You're opening a can of worms here, aren't you?
I think that's the problem.
Yeah, spot on.
The precedent it sets. This
exactly
is it's every red card now. To be honest, England have got that argument from last night. As you said, I think we all think that they're fair enough reds. I don't think anyone would have a massive argument against them. I think they're both on the soft side, but the fact they are reds, I think, is perfectly fine. But I think so many reds in this tournament, especially when early on things like the Messi, that tackle, was it the first or second game?
Mm-hmm.
That should be a red as well, Once you have things like that, it makes it harder. But yeah, the precedent they've set now, France are appealing a yellow card now, aren't they? They're saying, which is, I don't even remember that being a thing before. But I get in with the suspensions. But this is a dangerous precedent to set.
It is mad. It is mad, lads. I mean, if you I even think it's a little bit bigger than sort of the World Cup. It's just a very, very dangerous precedent to set for sporting integrity. I think that's the sort of key thing there, right? If you miss a drugs test, you're banned because of sporting integrity. It's not that you've been found guilty of a substance or process or whatever. You miss a drugs test, a la Rio Ferdinand, you're banned. And the idea is that it's integrity.
I think that's a really good point as well, because FIFA are big on you're not allowed to have political views and things like that. Most governing bodies are the same. You're not allowed to have slogans and messages and things like, God, you're not even allowed to take your shirt off these days, are you? But then on the biggest stage of football, you then come up with this decision, which has clearly been a political decision. Let's be fair. There's been no secret made of where this has come from.
Especially not from Trump.
Yeah, exactly.
He's telling everyone.
Exactly. So how can you now, as a governing body, enforce your own rules when you have just broken them on the biggest stage of all? You can't. You've not got it to stand on, have you?
Exactly. And that's really where this goes, right? So this is going to go to the Court of Arbitration of Sport. This is going to go above FIFA's head, basically. And at some point, it's going to come back down on FIFA that you manipulated. Look, they can point to all the statutes and stuff, and I think he has. He's just come out and said that, it's independent. I don't get involved. Why are you entertaining a phone call about it?
Yeah.
Why is Trump then saying that this happened and that happened? And look, Trump just talks a lot of shit, and there's no point having a discussion around that. I'm sure Trump thinks in his own mind that his phone call did it. And
he'd take credit one way anyway, wouldn't he?
Exactly. So that's my point. I don't want to sort of throw FIFA down the toilet for just maybe something that was in their procedure that they could have done, but it's just highly irregular that it's happened now for this game, and it's highly irregular. And had Infantino, who might all be innocent in this, right? And it's highly unlikely, but he might be innocent in this. Had he not been halfway up Trump's rectum for the last 3 years, we might have given him the benefit of the doubt. But the point is, he's so far up his ass that you've got no room for maneuverability now, my friend. You are banged to rights. And there's a lot of spin-offs from this, lads, that are just going to come. Belgium are not going to have this result, whatever happens. Unless they batter America, which I really hope they do, they're not going to have it. And, moving forward, as we've said, there's going to be appeals for yellows, for reds, for all sorts, because you've just opened this kind of thing that I was going to say unwritten rule, but they're written as well, for fuck's sake. But we've just opened this can of worms now with this. And where it goes, no idea. But once lawyers get involved in sport, mate, it's not a good look. And we're going down the route of like boxers testing for PEDs and saying, oh, it was in the eggs that I had. Like, we're going down that kind of ridiculous route of just like people making up crazy excuses. Like, my mum was ill, so I followed through on a double foot on someone's shin. You're going to start getting like these crazy defenses and you're going to get these great lawyers who are going to represent everything. And and look, there is a case in reference here. I know we trash Ronaldo a lot, and I'm going to do it again, to be fair. But he was sent off just before this World Cup, wasn't he? And he had a 2-game ban, and that was postponed. So FIFA do have a precedent for it. But it's a corrupt precedent. That's the point. It's not that, people are going to become part-time lawyers on Twitter now. That's not the point. The point is sport and integrity, and that's clearly been violated here. And just for the Arsenal ultras that are going to be watching this and between us, I want to see what Arsene Wenger does. Because Arsene should really, on the back of this, say thank you and goodbye. But something tells me that contract that he's got over there, he won't be doing that.
I think the bottom line on this is, going into this tournament, there was a lot of talk about off-field issues, stadiums, FIFA, Trump, and all of that. And when the football started, everyone was like, It's great. The football started. You know, it's you know, up to now it's been a fantastic World Cup. Fantastic might be a stretch, but you know, the football's come to the fore.
It's been
is what
good.
I'm trying to say. And then all of a sudden, we're now not talking about football. You know, and from FIFA's point of view, this is the world stage. This is our product. This is what we are, and we're going to showcase the world. And they've just completely took the attention away from that. And that for me is unforgivable. Absolutely unforgivable.
But it is Trump's brand, eh? It is Trump's brand, though. He's got to make it about him. Sorry, Dave.
No, but I was just saying, no matter what rules they've got and what they say they've got, I don't think anyone believes that if this was like an Egyptian player, this has been overturned. You know, I don't think the Ronaldo one at the side, if that was anyone else, that's not being overturned. It's all just, just bullshit politics, isn't it? That, you know, I don't know, we're in the game. I say, it really makes me long for the days of Blatter, really, you know. You know, at least he had a bit of class about his corruption. It was
Big Sep.
You know how to handle it.
That was just expenses. Them lads were just having a jolly up on the little nation's budget, you know, football development budget. You know, nothing more than that. You know, Cape Verde might not have a team if Sepp Blatter was still around because you know he liked to wine his dine his mistress. But this is worse. Infantino's worse.
He's awful.
He is terrible. It's not, as I said, it's not just this decision, but it's just everything, mate. Giving Trump a prize and all this kind of stuff, and then suggesting that the way to fix Israel-Palestine was for them to have a game. Like, mate, what are you doing? Like, I'm not sure you've read the room, mate. But it's just really, really crap. And like, and we spoke about it earlier, lads. You know, there's a couple of ways of dealing with Trump that we've seen in the world, and placating him and treating him like the man baby that he is and saying yes to everything is not the way, because then he will out you. And he's completely, by the time this pod comes out, he'll have done 3 days worth of press conferences telling everyone that he had Infantino on the phone and got that overturned. Now, whether that's true or not is irrelevant now, because the integrity side of it's gone. And that's what you get when you align with just crazy people, mate. And he's damaged football today. Long and short, he's damaged football.
Definitely. No, he's going to for as long as he can as well, isn't he? Which is all good fun.
He's not going anywhere, mate.
No. Well, let's wrap this one up then. We're not going to record again before England play Norway. Let's get some quick predictions for that before we go. Nath, what do you think? What do you think's going to happen there? Was it Saturday evening?
I can fully see another 3-2 drama-filled game. I really can. Just because I think both teams' defences are both teams' weaknesses. So yeah, let's have another goals galore. Why not? 3-2 England.
And Fires, what about you?
Pens. I've picked up England for the last however long we've been recording for, and I just think we've got a dramatic penalty shootout in us, and I think this might be the one.
Well, I'm going to continue my confidence in England. I think England win easy. I think we have Haaland under control. 3-0. You know,
Dave's already at the parade when they come back to
it.
I can't remember who would we play in the semi if we do get through. I actually don't. I can't remember the. How is it? I think they're a piece of piss as well. That's another team. on a book up for New York. What's it? For 2-3 weeks time. Don't even bother playing the games, to be honest. Just put us there now. Let us rest up. That brings us to the end of this show. We're going to be back later this week. We are going to start a new series looking at the whole of the Emirates era, right from the very beginning all the way through to the current day. So make sure you subscribe to get all of those episodes, as well as all the World Cup episodes that we'll be doing coming up, and then moving on to Arsenal into the pre-season and all the transfers and all of that stuff. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like this episode. Make sure you share it, rate us, all of those things. But yeah, if you can do them, it really does make a difference to us, because it helps us get out there and helps us get more views and helps us do more things. So make sure you do those. Right. Well, cheers, lads. And that was a lot of fun. Sort of feels like it's winding down a bit, doesn't it? This World Cup now. It's strange now. The games are filling out a bit. 2 a day doesn't feel right, does it? Where we've been used to so many.
What we're going to do on Wednesday? No game.
Gutted. Yeah. I don't know. But
I
it'll be
moaned
over
about them, but
soon.
I loved 4 games a day. That's my favorite part of the World Cup. 4 games a day. Yeah.
Yeah, love that.
That's the best. It'll be even better next time when it's on our time zone, when we can just watch everything from
Absolutely,
noon through to midnight or whatever it'll be. But yeah,
Just makes sense.
yeah, but yeah.
Bring
Join
football
us
home.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Join us on Thursday for that episode. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, get involved. All right, we'll see you next time.
See you later, guys.